that we require is the impact that government can provide. So my question is, how do we achieve a public-private partnership that can foster digital skills development in our client?
Well, I think as we've heard, there are kind of different problems and challenges. So we know that there is generally a problem with digital literacy and also financial literacy. All of us in this world, that's a barrier for financial inclusion. So generally there is a population-wide issue around not understanding, not having digital financial literacy. So there's some basic information that everybody needs to know because the world is becoming more digital, and actually the whole population needs a level of basic digital skills to not be left behind in this world. Then we also have the challenge with schools and universities, as we've heard from other panel, needed to actually go work in a particular position. We also know that fintechs are struggling to recruit very specialist talent on things like cybersecurity, machine learning, cloud computing. And so it's clear the answer cannot be tackled by one company or one sector alone. Actually, what we need to do is work together. And so I think there may be a drive from government to support both businesses and universities in creating innovative programs for their existing and future talents that they have. We know that the curriculums at universities are incredibly outdated. Previous speakers have spoken to that, but how as an entire country or continent even, and let's face it, right? I'm sat in the UK right now. This issue also is here. It's a worldwide issue. The UK actually has a really interesting digital skills partnership, which is a public, private, and development sector partnership. And they have things like a digital workforce fund to provide training to people in low-paid, low-skilled roles move into, because things like AI, machine learning, etc., is going to put their roles at risk. 61% of the current workforce will require retraining by 2027, and that's a phenomenal amount. So it's really key that we understand private business need. We need knowledge there because policies, the way in which educational institutions, so funding, this is going to require learning. We have seen private companies like AWS, Microsoft, Google, they have some amazing free training that's online, but actually, sort of, and it can help to at a basic level, but to really hone those specialist skills, therefore funding is required. So I see the need for all these bodies to come up with a digital, strategy or a partnership that enables all the entities to be able to read
but just help us, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
so it's a huge challenge. I mean, the issue that I raised, and what we're doing at Fintech Association of Nigeria is the fact that in 2021 we set up a program called DigiStuds. It means digital students. To date, we've trained 400 students in public universities. We take them to web design, graphic design, data analytics. We treat Python language. We treat them to UX, CX. And the whole idea is to create an appetite for them while they're still in school to understand. And we onboard them to a freelance platform. And a lot of them are making money right now. And so that by the time they're out of school, they're already having a work culture. They can fit into the environment. We believe that's the way to intervene if the curriculum will not change. If we're waiting for government, nothing will happen. But why are we training just 400 students? Because we need to fund it. And being an NGO, we need support for corporate entities. So we hope that Network International, Google, Macro will support us to train more students. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, David. The president has a comment,
All right.
and then after the president will come to you. I've added some extra more minutes to you. And then I will take one more question to add up to that as a way of wrapping up. Can I have the microphone here?
I just wanted to add a slightly different perspective. Yeah. You know how do you build career paths? Because there are a lot of young people here. Yeah. If you want to build a good career path, you have to take some of the responsibilities. Yeah. Especially in a place like Africa and Nigeria, you can't leave everything to government, as you can see. Yeah. You have to take that responsibility. The good thing about the digital world is that there are lots of tools out there. Yeah. So many tools. So you take a step back. If you're an accountant and you've not been taught spreadsheets and accounting packages, yeah, when you went to university, there are lots of tools out there. You better go and start teaching yourself. Yeah. If you're a developer, yeah, quote unquote, and you've been taught some dodgy languages, yeah, or you've not even been taught, you better work out what's right for the industry and sector you want to go to. So I want you all who are learners, and we're all learners. Yeah, you don't have to consider you could be professionally engaged as well. I'm constantly learning. I want to learn new things as well. That's the beauty of life. So please take that responsibility as well. Thank you.
All right, we'll just take this last question quickly, ma'am, and then I'll move over to you to wrap up the session.
Thank you. It's really not a question, and to lend credence to what our president has said, which is in line with what I was going to say, that we have identified the various problems. What I believe is what now do we need to do? And I believe in starting from where we are with what you have, and rather than just putting all the responsibility on the government, from our various spaces, we can start putting up the efforts that we can do to build this capacity. And for me as a lawyer, that's what I do in the space, building the women in the space with technological, knowledge, and then of course the intersection with law. So now the question I'll probably ask is how, talking about collaboration, how do we create better value, and in line with what you did say earlier, to see how this education translates to the economic impact, and then be able to connect these ladies that I'm building in the community with further collaboration to create more values and make them see relatable scenarios where they can actually practice these skills.
Okay, thank you very much. David, over to you to wrap up.
Thank you very much. Those are very good questions. So what I would do is I'll go from one day's end down to Adewolu, so that we'll just have a linear progression. And I'll try to merge these questions with what we have so that we can find a way to answer them all in one breath. So one day the
please don't forget Sarah Conning.
Sure. So Sarah will be on the screen after. Okay. So one day the question I will want you to attempt is riding on the statistics from Nairametrics that she made reference to. We have a huge problem. The question is, what are the practical initiatives we can implement today to begin to roll back the challenge we have on our hands?
All right. Thank you. I also was listening to a lot of these good questions, and I have something to say about every one of them, but I'll try as much as possible to answer the question that has been, that you've asked, and then also touch on in the time that I have. So quickly, with that data that 95% of 90% of our graduates are not exposed to digital skill sets. It depends on where our investment as a country is going to. Okay, if our universities are still not equipped with the proper infrastructure. No Wi-Fi or internet access. No provision for softwares that people can use to learn. In 2024, there's no reason why an accounting student is learning trial balance without learning QuickBooks. So our investment as a continent is just not going there, and it is based on what we've said today. Oh, government cannot do everything, but unfortunately, people are attending government schools. So if people are attending government schools, these schools need to be equipped to train these people in digital skills. It's just point blank simple. Now, once they have the foundation, they can now start to pick themselves up. Now, is the government doing anything? Yes, there are initiatives that the government, several governments, Lagos State government through LSCTF is giving loans to students to attend tech ops to take training. Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is giving loans to students to is giving grants to students to access co-working space so they can learn, so they can run their freelance businesses. The federal government has the Sci-Fi Creative Industry Financing Initiative for students to access loans to take digital trainings. The federal government now has 3MTT, which to that gentleman that said they didn't gain anything from it, unfortunately, you were part of the pilot phase and they were just still trying to figure things out. I do believe that the government is trying in its own way, but private sector also has to get involved. And the idea of a PPP, public-private partnership, is also very good. I personally have been trying to work with the NSIA to try to find a way to get people trained in these digital skills. For us, our work is to train to a purpose, which is employability. And for us, if we cannot graduate 90% of our students getting a job within the first 90 days of graduating from our program, we failed. And so that's the benchmark for us. And so that's the work that we're doing. So it really depends on where our investment is going to as a nation, both private and public sector. So let me leave that there are so many other things that that we need to address to answer all of these questions. But the truth is, as a continent, we're trying, but we're just not doing enough, and we need to both privately, government, private sector, even to when we talk about AI and ML, the industry leaders, do they even understand? Because information is key. If I don't know what AI can do to my business, I'm not going to invest in talent to train them in AI. If as a bank, let's talk about fintech today. If as a bank, I don't understand blockchain and smart contracts, I will not understand what it means, and I will not know that I need to invest in training my workforce to be better in that area. And let's take it down to all of our universities, secondary schools, primary schools. If we don't know these things as leaders in the business, we're not going to be able to educate our people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy. That's a perfect answer. So now to you, Chinwe. Someone asked about remote work. Another person asked about talent export. And I know that one of the challenges people have is working in the Nigerian environment. Talk about traffic, stress, and a couple of things. And so the question is, as employers, how do we create an environment that would retain top talent? What are the practical things that we can do to encourage young people to still work with both traditional companies and new companies? Yeah.
Thank you very much, David. What I would say is that recruitment has gone beyond the traditional, recruitment criteria. It's more about talent management and looking at the ecosystem that exists today. We keep talking, we talk about skills and all that. And somebody rightly said, somebody asked the question is, how do we stop, the migration of talent, good talent outside the country? It all boils down to all of us here, business owners, the government, the private sector, looking at what is the EVP of the company, basically the employee's valuable proposition. How do you bring that on board? How do you look at the talent that exists today and you're able to nurture it and also have the right skills, right? Because one thing is training, one thing is talent, one thing is skill. These are all the things that go together. together. Again, talent and culture go together. So you're talking about work from home. You're talking about how do people cope, especially with traffic and all that. So what is the culture of the organization? If the culture of the organization is to work from home, how is the organization supporting the people that work from home? We're talking about fee data, we're talking about the capacity, so I work from home, I'm being supported with a good Wi-Fi, like I said, or all the tools that I need to make work from home efficient. I don't have the power as at when I should. So that means working from home now becomes a challenge, right? So these are some of the things that not just the government, the private sector, we, the individual, you and I, business owners, we have to start looking at the skills and how to be able to harness the talent that exists today so that we can retain, this talent here and ensure that the talent, are being effectively.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
All right, everybody, government is going to be the driver at the end of the day.
2 more minutes,
What
baby.
incubator here is the institutions, educational institutions, universities, and all. What are practical initiatives we can take away from here back to our schools that they can begin to implement from today to be able to groom the kind of workforce that we need for now and the future?
Thank you. She talked about something within tech hubs in universities. There has, beyond collaboration, there has to be a strategy. And that strategy means that what we're doing today, and we need to know what we're going to, what we're trying to achieve in the future and work towards it. Working with the schools, working with the educational institutions to create those tech hubs and develop them is one way. Working towards implementing new curriculum. I know that the junior schools, the primary schools and secondary schools are already doing that. In the universities, we also have to do that.
Okay.
We also have to make sure that things are changing very quickly.
Okay. All right. So I've been told I have to wrap up now. Can I ask Sarah?
Sarah, just 30 seconds.
Sarah.
So that we
I
can
don't
move
worry.
to the next
So Sarah, the question I wanted to ask you is, we now have a global market, and African companies sort of are losing out because we can't outpay the international companies. So what advice are you going to give to us? What are the competitive measures that we can begin to implement from today to retain the best talent in the globally competitive stage?
I mean, I think there's a number of things that we can, think about. Firstly, trying to understand what your workforce actually wants and needs. Actually asking them, doing surveys, finding out, for those who are leaving, why are they leaving? What are you not offering? There will be some, of course, who you cannot retain. You cannot retain 100% of your workforce all the time. But look at your company culture. Look at your flexible working. What hours people working? Are there other ways you can offer incentives, like allowances or shares? What professional development are you giving? Are you keeping your staff skills and knowledge up to date? Are you allowing them exposure to other businesses and networks? And think about your infrastructure and technology. Nobody wants to work on a 5-year-old laptop. What are the ways in which you can offer your workforce really additional benefits, learnings, things that can help build their career? They may not be with you forever, and that's the reality of any person. But whilst they are with you, how can you make sure that your employees, are as focused and dedicated and feel like they are a committed part of the team? That doesn't have to be, anything always necessarily super expensive, and there can be ways in which you can embrace the company's culture to make them feel like valued employees.
All right. Sarah, thank you very much. And lastly, to bringing it all together, how do we bring all the vital stakeholders to the table? And what actions can we begin to take from today to bring about that difference we're looking for?
Thank you, David. I think 2 things. One, we can already start to build out of what works. A lot has been said about 3 entities across the room. It might not be perfect, but it's a starting point. So the government has said we have a target 3 million technical talent across 12 technical skill areas. So as opposed to private entities going to build out their programs, what can we do to help deepen the impact of the entity investments in terms of some of the technical resources that we have and funding? That's one easy way. One thing that hasn't been brought up very much, and I'd like to drop as the last comment, is SMEs. I think that SMEs offer significant opportunities in terms of
they're very cost-cutting. They solve the gender problem. They solve the social divide problem. So what are we thinking about equipping people to begin to think around when I'm skilling and I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to get an education? I'm also thinking about being an entrepreneur and a business owner by myself, so that when I come out, I'm not a burden on the labor question, but I'm an addition
Thank
to
you
the
very
employer
much.
question.
Thank you very
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Aguda has together for this panel.
All right.
Madam Minister, thank you so much. We have this panel so jam-packed, but time is not in our favor right now. Please can you be upstanding? Let's have this moment of a picture being grabbed. And please can I have the president and the CEO, as well as my incoming president, Dr. Stanley Jacob, Chief Executive of Stanbic IBTC Financial Services Limited, join them for this picture quickly, so that we can go into the next section. Sarah, we want to say a big thank you. Unfortunately, we can't talk to you in person, but we will take what you have on the screen and then superimpose you here. All right?
Thank you so much for not forgetting about me.
Thank you so very much, Sarah. It's always good to see you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're quickly going into the next session, which is a masterclass. I want to say a big thank you to the master workshops that was held yesterday. BC at the CEO from TCLS Corporate Services Limited, Anchor One. We also have Tomilola Tobun, Senior Associate of Paluco, and Oyobode, Anchor, the second one. But we are going straight into the next session, which is a master class. And please, the job section is open, and we encourage some of you to take advantage of that. But perhaps you want to do that discretionally, in the sense that that's why the master class is going on. If you want to go have one-on-one with those job organizations out there, the ushers will direct you. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, as you take up your seats. And then we will have the master class right away. The master class is 2 sessions. We have one that is for employers. The Employers Forum is titled Remote Work and Hybrid Models, Adapting Talent Management in the African Context. Ashley Emmanuel, the Chief Operating Officer from Semicolon, will be facilitating that. The second masterclass is Enhancing Your Digital Skills for a Competitive Edge. It's an employees forum, and I have Madam Omowumi, maybe that will see the General Counsel and HR Director for AXA Mansard. I think that's one of the insurance companies that has been in the forefront. We will be having them. So 2 masterclasses is going to run for 30 minutes. So I'm going to need Ashley and Omowumi to be very, very time conscious. So this is how we're going to do it. We're dividing the whole into 2 extremes. These 2 hands here is for the masterclass for the digital skills. I believe that's the employees forum. Show me if I'm getting that right. Yes, this is the employers forum. So if you're an employer of labor, please kindly come to this side. These 2 last rows will be where we have the employers forum. I need these 2 rows empty. Why these 2 other rows will be for the employees forum. So let us start up right away. We're going to time the whole session for 30 minutes. At say, Brent, can I have my contacts, please? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but forgive me. This is employers. This is for employers. Forgive me, I need to change my glasses. And this is employees. I thought I saw employers here. Please, employees, if you're an employee, please come here. If you're an employer of labor, please take these 2 ends. And then I will need this row empty in terms of those who perhaps are not attending the masterclass. The masterclass is going to run for 30 minutes. I will let the timer know when it starts. 30 minutes. Please kindly have your seat here. And then let's have, for those who have a job that they want to look out for, we have organizers upstairs. Ushers, please kindly direct them aright. You can see any of the ushers if you need to go consult the organizers for the job forum. We have several companies represented. Just ask for them, but please take advantage of the masterclass. It's very important. Please, can we all take our 6 employers forum? Can we start up right away? We have Ashley Emmanuel, who is going to be manning this particular employers forum. Please, can we have her here? Why we have Omowumi, they will see General Counsel and Human Resource Director for AXA Mansard. She will be manning this particular section. for 30 minutes. Timer. Please, can you put the timer for 30 minutes and I'll let you start when you're ready. Are you good? So we have the employees masterclass here running for 30 minutes, and then we have the employers here running for another 30 minutes. So we'll be wrapping up this whole session. Please facilitate us. I know time is not our friend. I'll need you all to work within the time accorded right now so that we can move into the next section, which is a keynote presentation, and I'm expecting the MD of Vemita, Mr. Jeremy Ananda, and afterwards we have other presentation. Meanwhile, the job forum is ongoing. For some of you who perhaps might want to take an advantage of that, the ushers will direct you to where it is upstairs. So as soon as we're all fully set, we will kick off the event. Pardon me, the master class. Employees here, employers there. Please, I don't want to see any employer of labor here. This is not your space. That is where you are supposed to be with Ashley. And then Omo is here for employees. Ashley, this is fantastic. Ashley.
Okay, so while they're trying to set up, before I go
Very good. I'm not sure. Speak to you.
Okay. Passionate about and one of your strengths. Thank you. Okay, so we'll just take that quickly. I'll invite because our screen seems to be over here. And we're facing here. I'll invite us to maybe also take more on this side, just so it's a little. Anyways, sit comfortably so that you can see the screen. While we sit together. So you can rotate your chair a bit if you like. Break up. Yeah. No, I think I've done the wrong thing. People in the back, don't be shy. Yes. You're welcome to chat with the person next to you. If you take out that, you can scan QR code. So let's just join the quiz. Let's see if you're ready for the digital space. Oh, your phone is on here. Oh, sorry. All right, so can we? Are we all comfortable seeing the screen? You can. Okay, so if it's a little bit awkward, you're welcome to rearrange. They seem to cut down our time a little bit.
Okay, timer. 30 minutes starts. Ashley, 30 minutes starts right now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I know you didn't get to finish that conversation, but hopefully at least you started. I will introduce myself very quickly. It's a pleasure again to be here, and thank you very much to the organizers and hosts. My name is, I'm co-founder, chief operating officer of a company called Semicolon. I'll say what we do. I'm in the tech and innovation space today. Previously, I was very deep in the financial inclusion space as CEO of an organization called IFINA that promotes financial inclusion in Nigeria. So I've been a friend of Fintech Nigeria for a very long time. You can call me Ashley, Emmanuel, or Oluwakemi, depending on your preference. Or yeah, you too. Let me see. Yes, any of the above works. So just quickly, my company, where I am now, we are driving digital transformation in Africa by building tech-focused talent in businesses. We build tech talent, we train software engineers, and do corporate training, upskilling, train startups, etc. We also build solutions for companies. So sometimes actually we're building a platform, building technology for fintech right now. Work with other companies as well, and we advise. And then we also work with startups because we believe that's really important for job creation and solving local problems. So today we have a big topic, right, which is about adapting talent management in the African context. And we're talking a bit about remote and hybrid, but I'm going to dig really deep into that talent and African context. So let's just reflect to ourselves. And I think we're employers or managers, right, in this group. So let's think to ourselves, what does that context mean? What's our African context for managing talent? There are a few things. One is our economic context, right? So this is our current pressure. When you see, I was in a session about a week ago, and somebody asked, "Okay, when did you last see Shege?" Right? The answer is 3 times daily, and a lot of it is the economy that we're working with as employers, right? Among other things, we have high inflation, adoption. So it's difficult for our clients and customers. We can't always increase the prices as fast as we want to be able to pay our people more, right? We're struggling with really rising operational costs, rising payroll costs, and feeling a lot of pressure. We have a lot of volatility, we have uncertainty. So it's difficult for us to plan. It's even difficult for us to say how many people can we hire, how much are we going to pay them. A lot of organizations are doing planning for 2025 right now, and we just have to make some assumptions, right? So that's one. Second, for infrastructure. So we all know this. What's the number one thing that we like to complain about when we complain about infrastructure is NEPA, right? So you can't have a session you can't run a business unless you have generator, inverter, solar, or some combination, all of the above, right? And it's a further challenge if we have our staff working from home because they have to sort that out from themselves or from other locations. Of course, we have our internet. Nobody here probably uses just one source of internet for your business, right? No, we're all shaking our heads. You've got at least one backup, maybe two, maybe three. And for our staff, these are expensive related to income compared to some other parts of the world. So people will have to spend a substantial amount of their money to be buying data if they're working remotely, to be buying diesel to put in the gen, right? If they want to install solar, it's very difficult for a lot of our staff to be able to afford that upfront. But our infrastructure is also not necessarily great for full-time office work, because what are the challenges our employees face if they come to the office every day? In Lagos, right? It's traffic. Our other thing that we love to complain about. So they're tired before, and they're angry, and they're stressed before they even arrive, right? What are the other challenges in our context? We just had the whole session about talent pools. So I won't rehash that. We have a great population, but employers are still saying that it's difficult to find the right skill sets, right? Many of us have probably had roles that we've been recruiting for rounds, right? You've interviewed a lot of different people. It's hard to find the right fit, and then they leave. And then last, in terms of context, and this is not specific to Africa, the professional context is evolving. And what do I mean by that? Shifting to the future world of work. And we talked about this in the panel discussion as well. So in the past, what were the good jobs that Nigerian parents encourage their children to go and do? Okay, doctor, lawyer, accountant, engineer, right? Okay, so doctor, it's hard for AI to do all of that. Maybe a bit of diagnosis, but you still kind of need people in there. So that one's pretty good. But if you look at something like accountant, lawyers, a good portion of that work, especially at junior levels, is learning and applying rules. And what does that mean? It's going to be automated. Those jobs will disappear. They're increasingly disappearing, right? It's not to say that no people will work in those fields, but a lot of those junior entry level roles that your uncle who was a lawyer went through to climb the ladder, those don't exist, right? So we need to think about that future world of work in many ways. Full-time, people having one full-time job and having that job for a few decades, that we're evolving away from that in Africa and globally. Sorry, going the wrong way. However, in countries like Nigeria, what percentage of Nigerian adults work in a formal, like a registered tax-paying company, or a registered company? Can anybody guess? 10%? That's a good guess. It's probably around 10, right? I mean, some people are not working at all and earning income, but the ones who are working is about 10% of Nigerian adults that work in a regulated company, which also includes the people working for government. So a lot of our workforce is also coming from informal context, even if they've been working. If they were working for a micro enterprise, they may have seen very informal ways of operating. And then management culture is evolving, and I will talk a lot more about what that means. So, okay, we have our challenges, but that's not really what we want to spend our time talking about today, right? What we want to talk about is what do we do? So just talk to the person next to you for 30 seconds. What does the high-performing team look like? What are some elements of a high-performing team?
Because what they use is they use all the places.
Don't be shy. I'm going to be making you talk to each other, and I'll come around.
Today, across the world. Today, that is what is happening. Back then, analog age, you had to see somebody physically to play. To play sway, you and I would choose, and then you jump and jump, or you
Next to you
so
for a
then
second, then I'll come.
today everything do is online, so you can actually play. Television in those days, we had television that we had to shut the glass, shut the cupboard actually, and then for us, so television would start with da, 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 da. You know that's the national anthem. If the television was not there, you cannot do anything, just go and play. Today is smart TV. But guess what? There's now TV on the go. You watch Netflix, Prime, Showmax, everything on the go.
Okay, so I know this is too short of a discussion, but you may have gotten one or two points out.
In this digital age.
So I'd like to take one or two from the group.
We need to
What was one specific thing you talked about in a high-performing team? Yes, please.
we need to prepare to
I think it's something that if you ask anybody in the team, they know, they are aware of their goals and
Perfect.
everything.
Clarity on goals. Perfect. In every person. Wonderful. I think you have your hand up as well.
They're productive, they're time conscious, and they're collaborative.
Beautiful. Let me take one more. Yes, please.
We talked about communication, like effective communication. And
Good. And I know there were many more ideas because we're moving fast. I'll just start to put some up on the screen, right? So this was the first thing mentioned, clarity on objectives, right? Team members are engaged, right? Some HR people will talk about employee engagement as something that we measure. They have the right skills, the right competencies, and they feel empowered, and they are empowered, in fact. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. I know, by the way, I'm going fast. At the end of this session, I'll have the opportunity for you to scan a QR code. If you want me to send you the slides, I'm happy to do that because I see some people trying to write things down, so I don't want you to feel rushed. So how do we do this? There are 4 steps that I want us to talk about today. The first is aligning on our purpose. Second is looking on culture, policies, procedures, ways of working. Third is turning our managers into coaches. And then fourth is coming back to the talent pool and building on that panel discussion that just happened. So aligning on purpose. I'm going to tell a story. In case you can't tell, I'm not originally Nigerian. I grew up in the United States, and there was a time, even before I was born, that a key national priority in the U.S. was to put a man on the moon. The United States was in the middle of a space race. The president had announced to the American people that his government was going to accomplish this. So he went to visit the agency charged with doing this, NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, to go see the progress, right? And in between his official meeting, he was walking down the hall, and he saw a man wearing overalls, carrying a broom. He's the janitor, the cleaner. And so the president of the United States, as they're passing each other, says, "Hello, how are you? What's your name? And what do you do here?" And the man replied, "Exactly. I'm helping to put a man on the moon." Right? He didn't say, "I'm the janitor, I clean the floors." He said, "I'm helping to put a man on the moon." So what does this tell us? It tells us that he was aligned to that why, the purpose, the goal, the objective of the organization. This is a simple graphic. If anybody has heard of Simon Sinek, he has a TED Talk in a book called Start With Why. The TED Talk is very simple. You can check it out in about 10 minutes. And the whole principle, which seems obvious, but we forget to do a lot, is that everything we do in life and in work, we should start with why. What are we trying to accomplish? What is our vision? What is our mission? What is our purpose, right? So why do we do this? I don't know if you can all see this comic, but basically there is a group of people having a meeting. The person presenting is, the good news is we're moving really fast, and everybody I love using the banking sector as examples, right? Because we see some evolution, some old ways of working as well.
My last take was probably 2017. That is what is happening. A lot of things that we're used to will begin to change if we ourselves are not changing. So it takes me into retail. How many of us still go to the market to shop for pepper and all? I know that times are hard, but how many people still go? And you don't rely on price pally, Jumia, Konga. How many people use Jumia, Konga, price pally? You go to the market. I don't go again. I just go, they say grade A tomato, grade B, grade C. I look at my pocket, how much can I afford? That's the one I pick. But what it is that the world is changing and the world is moving. How are we matching up to it? Your role as an employee, for those of you that are in current employment, is that you need to make yourself, you need to set yourself apart. And how can you do that? With this, you have to be a digital evangelist. You are preaching and talking data. You are using data as your weapon. You can't go to your boss and say, I want to work remotely. Why? The traffic, but I want to work remotely. Because I realize that if I cut this number of hours, I start from home at 7 a.m. I can deliver and do this. I come to my boss with facts and figures. Don't come to your bosses with emotions. It never works. What you need is that if you come to them with facts, to say, I want us to implement flexi work hours. Why? Because I noticed that people come in at 9 a.m. 70% of us resume at 9. Remaining 30% resume at 8. Okay, so why can't we do it this way? 8 to 5 is for the 30%. 9 to 6 is for the 70%. Can we still be productive? Yes, because this is statistics. If you're using that, you are a digital evangelist. You're using data and digital skills to do that. One of the things that you also need to use is innovation. You have to be creative. Before COVID, we had a gentleman in the company then. He came up one day and told all of us that he was going to teach us how to automate things. We argued because we preferred the back. You bring the memo to me, I review, I sign. You take it to him, he signs. You take it to him, he signs, and then she signs off. 5 of us we sign one paper, and it takes us 2 weeks because he's not on seat. He said go and change something, but guess what? The guy automated the process, and when he did, he then said, "I will not do it for you. I'll train everybody." So we put up a system in the company where we call it Digital 101 Skills, and everyone subscribed from the MD down to the T girl. Everybody had to take that course. If you finish that course, then you go to the next course. What that did was innovation kicks in, and then we said it's not just you learn and you pocket it. Everyone in the company, you know how to automate a process, a simple process within your team. And that was what it was. People started stepping out. You could now differentiate the talents, the high flyers, based on their innovative skills. People were not passionate. People wanted to show that they can deliver. Not eye service, but it was linked to what they could deliver. We also encourage a lot of continuous learning. It is important for you to know that learning is not what I have learned before and I'll survive. Learning is what I am learning today that will take me to the future. I don't want us to be fixated on it. Collaboration. Please know that you can actually have a friend that understands coding and you understand how to interpret the codes, but he knows how to write it. You guys can work together to upskill yourselves. Break the silos. Break the silo and begin to work together. Now, for the digital skills you need, data literacy, I talked about it. You need to work with data to begin to interpret data, analyze data, and deliver. Collaboration, you can use a lot of all these Teams, Google Meet, what do you call it? Zoom, to meet with people and then be able to communicate and get things done properly. You need to please invest in yourself for information security, cyber security. Don't go into digital world and think that it is all well and done. There's somebody trying to steal data. Classify your data into confidential, the one that is private, the one that is available for public consumption, so that you protect yourself. If you keep all of this through information security, you can learn that there are some free trainings, by the way, on LinkedIn that can help you here. Digital marketing. I remember back in the days, we felt that marketing insurance was just going to be door to door. I'll come knock, hey, I want to sell insurance. But we realized that not everybody really wants to see somebody's face. So we had to be innovative. We had to make it. Now you can log online and buy your insurance. It's digital marketing, but you won't know that it's there unless there's somebody, a digital person that knows how to create content, will be able to put that out there. Use our social media platforms to then sell it. But guess what? That skill is not something that you learn in school. That skill is something you can learn on your own. It's a course. You take a course on it. It's on Udemy. It's on Coursera. Take courses on all of these topics. And guess what? If you have these skills, these 5 critical skills, it takes you into the future, because nobody's going to wait for you to learn anything. It's also important that even though from our own point of view, from the HR point of view, we typically look at it that if you're coming, you must have 10 skills. People are not bad. We want 10 competencies, skills that you must have. If you have 8, but you then have another 2 in another area, which is where diversity comes in. What that does is that we see that you're adaptable. We see that you're ready to learn. We see that you're open to learning. It's easier for us to then employ you. Make sure that you have a differentiating factor. Do not be a regular Jones. Don't make your CV the regular thing. Don't come to an interview and say the regular things. Come to an interview prepared. Come with the skill we're looking for. And what is that? As communication is also a big skill. It's really important that you do not think that the only skill you need is just the digital and the technical skills. Ultimately, you need the soft skills. And Peggy Cloud says that soft skills get little respect, but they make or break your career. Who can tell me what are soft skills or power skills? Who can tell me? Who can share quickly? Yes. I can.
Emotional intelligence and other such skills, not basic academic qualification.
Thank you. So, soft skills, communication, how we speak, how we talk, collaboration. These are things that are very, very indispensable to your career growth. You can have the technical know-how, but if you lack the soft skills, you are 1 step, 2 steps below. So you have to make sure you're blended perfectly. And as an automation or tech person, a lot of people think that if I have all the tech knowledge, I don't need the soft skills. Please remember that you are not a machine. You need that emotional side to be able to balance the business side, because the machine would not think of your business strategy for you. You have to come up with that idea yourself. Let me go straight into the difference. So if I look at soft skills are your leadership and management skills, your work ethic and integrity, problem solving skills, communication, and emotional intelligence. Those are skills that you can learn or you have them in you, but the ability for them to come out is in you. You have to harness those skills. Those skills are there. Well, they say that we're born with them. Yes, but if you leave them redundant, they die redundant. You have to harness the skills. And when you harness them, then they become very good. The one that you must also possess is called power skills. And that is where networking comes in. Leverage on your network. Do not work in silo. Storytelling is about how you can relate whatever you're learning to what you are telling yourself. And a good storyteller is always your own career. You can tell your story from your career success. Proactivity, initiative, innovation, they come together. Those are powerful skills. Those are skills where you're able to convince somebody based on how you can be very innovative. Adaptability is a skill. Remember I said that for us to adapt today, it's a very, very critical skill. The world is evolving. Adaptability is a power skill. And then cultural competence. You go into a company, if you're being employed or you work in a company where, for us I work in a multinational where there are some things that they ask us to do. So we have to implement LGBTQ, for example. In Nigeria, it's not allowed. But are you going to go on the call and say, we're not doing it? What do you mean? It cannot be done. Because the law says so. If you are coming off like that, please, what will you get from the team? They see that you're resistant and you're not open to change. So what do you do? Explain to them. We would like to participate. Unfortunately, the law does not allow you. How can we then support the initiative? So you have to come from a place, and that is your cultural competence. What we call it also in local languages or common sense. Abi, it's common sense, but I have to put English, that's why I call it this. But really, it's common sense. You have to apply it every day. The skills that you must never have, you must run. If you have a friend that has any of these skills, run. We call them purely unidentified recruitment error. They're the ones that have eye service, where they believe that okay, how are you? How's the weekend? Hope your children are fine. It's not your business. Focus. Eye service. Then do not be a know-it-all. When you know it all, you cannot function because you will not listen to anybody else but just yourself. Overworking without efficiency. A lot of us do love activity. You see somebody working till 9 p.m. You ask me, what are you doing? Oh, have delivery. Oh, I'm working. I'm working. When you check it, there's no work. It's packaging. Manipulation. There are a lot of us that are not through that thing. Sorry, my gender. You will have that behavior well. When you come into the office, maybe you didn't do one work, but that thing go, oh no. Just say I didn't do the work. It helps. Don't come and manipulate. And then there are some of us that are line managers that are very rigid. Try and be open-minded so you can then learn. And then self-behavior. Self-serving behavior is also something you should run away from. So for you, if you want to be a digital leader, the 3 skills you need to acquire, right? Technology, your business skills, and then your communication. Now, if I break it into what I just showed you, your digital skills is your technology skills. Your communication skills is what? I can't hear you. Fantastic. Your business skills are what? The power skills. Because that's when you combine all 3, that is when you're a digital leader. Now, the danger is that if you lack communication and business, all you are is a tech geek, because that's all you'll be able to function in. If you lack tech and communication, all you are is strategies. You just be writing. You cannot implement. If you know how to tell the story well, you can talk and talk for Africa. When you open your mouth, everybody will be clapping. That's all. That's how you eat. You can not do anything else. But guess what? By the time you combine all 3 skills together, that makes you what?
All right.
So it's important for us to know that that is a very, very critical. These 3 skills are really, really critical for us, and we must learn them. So what will I say? If you want to go into the next future, if you want to make yourself step out, if you want to make yourself a differentiating employee, if you want to make yourself stand out, you have to start by exploring learning platforms. Start learning. Start learning yourself. Don't wait for somebody to teach you. Leverage your mentorship opportunities. And when I mean mentorship, mentorship is getting somebody that can help you along your career journey. Don't leverage on a mentor because you believe that person can aid your promotion within the organization. No, get a mentor that can add to you, and you can also add to the person because it's also reverse mentoring, and ultimately be very, very resilient. So it takes me to the last slide, which is what will you do to enhance your own digital skills? What will you do? I need answers. I need answers. So I know that I have spoken well. Please help me. Hands? Yes, you can. Mike? Yes, please. Maybe you can project if the mic is not there. Thank you very much. You're right, because the ability to learn is that adaptability, and when you are passionate about it, and it must come to you. Don't wait for it to don't wait for it to be an appraisal issue. Don't wait for it to be I'm being rejected issue. Let it be something that you wake up and I want to learn because I want to improve. Okay? Yes.
Commitment and responsibility.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, next one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
All right. Suleiman, increasing the amount of people in your circle by
Okay.
adding and bringing the people who have the skills you need to learn. Networking in simple terms.
Thank you. Next. Yeah. The lady.
I'll say okay. So stay informed, be updated, don't be obsolete in your because technology, you have to keep improving. It changes every day, so you need to stay informed and updated.
Thank you. Next.
Rounding up.
Yeah, so my name is Abdul. So get a mentor, someone that that has a lot of experience on the digital skills you are going for. So it's not just about you going for digital skills. Which skills are you going for? So get a mentor that really knows about the skills you are going for, that has the experience, that knows that okay, it's not just getting a mentor that's in the field of the digital skill, that is using it, that is implementing it. So thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
So my name is Abdul. It's not all about learning, it's all boils down to implementation. So when you learn, and you are not implementing it, you are actually like moving forward.
Okay, so that's the practical part. So it's not just theory. Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm moving. Ashley, we have to wrap up now.
So I bring it back. Contemporary.
So you must have my name is Joseph. You must have an open mind and be very, very ready to think out of the box.
Thank you. So that's adaptability. We were able to adapt and open ourselves to learning. Okay. Any other? Okay.
Yes. So another I'm saying is commitment to learning is going beyond just getting skills from Coursera, LinkedIn learning and all that. Be committed to learning, download articles, read books, and expand your knowledge base, right?
Thank you. Okay. You can shout out if you want.
Sorry.
Okay, then you pass it. We have 7 more seconds.
My name is Adiola. I'm an accountability partner. We are accountable.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, for me, I'll say is learning time management, showing procrastination, and volunteering for companies or startups.
Thank you. So it's really important to remove procrastination. Some of us like to procrastinate. It should never be.
Right. So my name is Dipo. I believe collaboration will help a lot in learning.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I think my time. Okay. Okay, 2 more. Before
it's time up. Thank you very much.
What time?
My name is Belumi. Learning is easy, but application is vital. When you learn, make sure you apply it to whatsoever it is that is going to
because I was supposed to be sitting in here.
make you productive.
I have to make sure that they're able to
So thank you very much, audience, and please I'll still be around. If you have questions, you can bring them to me and we can talk about it. Thank you very much.
And we've wrapped up. We have a key speaker, the person of my order at the top. I call him my Edmond, that is always representing. It's the MD of Remita, and that is Mr. Dip. So the employees forum, as you take up your seats, please can we put a hand together for facilitators? This has been amazing time out. Thankfully, we didn't have to leave the hall just like we did yesterday. Please watch the red tape. Cameraman, watch the red tape. Thank you. All right, so we're seated in because we have several other sessions to go into. And remember, we also have the Rockfruit Road that is going to be happening, while we also have the other aspects of the fair money treasure hunt. When it's time, I'm going to announce that. Also, don't forget, lunch is going to be very short we have the other session to wrap up today's event, which is day 2 of the Nigerian FinTech Week. Remember to use your hashtag NFW24 or hashtag Nigeria FinTech Week 2024. And let me quickly announce one more time that the QR code as well as the Wi-Fi password is scattered all around the exhibition hall, just in case you don't get it off the screen. When you get into the exhibition stand, you will see different places where we have that displayed. And when it comes to the area of the fair money and treasure hunt, I'm going to be working with my assistant, Mr. Syria Daniel, the two individuals. When we get to that point, we are going to make the announcement. So while we're fully seated, I want to believe the presidents are also around. Can we please be seated? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been most amazing. I feel a little bit shortchanged because I felt that I was going to be sitting in one of the master classes to gain some insight as well. But we're here for service, and I'm glad to be your man who is rendering the service as it is. Madam Minister, you're still around. Fantastic. Please put your hands together for the Minister of Information and Communication, Kenya. Let us know that we are very hospitable people in Nigeria. And somebody should actually give her a treat of amala, which do like mixed with borokoto, and then put some lot of pala and then so when she gets back to Kenya, she will know she arrived in Lagos. This is fantastic. You're welcome all my time, man. At this point in time, we are going to go into the next section, and that is a keynote presentation by a man that has distinguished himself in this industry. As a matter of fact, it's someone we're looking forward to, and we're glad that he's here today. So we have the timer set for 15 minutes for him. Myself and him have had some side talk and chat, and I'm very sure that this is something we do all the time. Please, can we put our hands together for Mr. Dereni Atonda, the MD of Remita? It's interesting to know that every other year we have them as one of our sponsors, and then they are sponsoring also this year. And this is some of the beautiful things we experience because of the ecosystem that we have in this Nigerian FinTech Week. Thank you so very much, sir. You're welcome.
need to do, what is missing. If you remember, I said in Nigeria, it was 64% achievement of financial inclusion targets. It's a picture. I mean, if at 64%, this is what we have. Where should we be headed? A population of 200 million. I'm going to illustrate that. Looking at some GDP figures, I think in terms of financial inclusion, that's what we've done. But what is the result? What do we have to show? If you look at the screen, you'll actually see that despite the huge numbers for Nigeria in terms of the growth of fintech, in terms of the growth in the number of transactions, there's actually a negative growth in terms of GDP. So what does that tell us? We're putting in a lot of energy. There's some funding coming in, but what is the real impact in terms of economic growth? Because this is the real picture. So if you look at Ghana, GDP per capita growth, 34.6%. In Nigeria, there's been a dip of about 10%. In Rwanda, it's about 40.8%, about 41%. And in Kenya, it's just about the same thing. So we're starting from Nigeria, where many of us know there's been a great influx of funds, and there's been a 243% growth on the size of the fintech ecosystem. Why is it not translating to GDP per capita growth? So why is it a decline? And we can say everything about the environment of business, but the data is there for us to see. And that is why we're saying to ourselves as fintechs, what is the reality of our being catalysts and enablers to make things happen? And that is the story. That at the end of 2024 Nigerian Fintech Week, what are we taking away as a community? These are the kind of figures we look at that drive us. And that is one of the major things we're working on, which is the Connect campaign to say everybody needs to be involved in growing economic inclusion. We're not just going to be mouthing policy, we're going to be active participants in ensuring that policy delivers the benefit it's going to deliver. And the only way we can do that is as a community of fintech players where we find ourselves, to know there is a social impact behind our businesses. So you can show the figures in your businesses, but it's not translating to growth in the economy. There's just so much you can do as well. Some of the things we've seen in terms of touch points, there are quite a number of them, but look at this ecosystem play. What do we need to do together on the continent? There have been many attempts, silo attempts by people trying to do things, but I'm going to speak about 5 levers around which we can galvanize efforts. The first bit of it will be tech talent, and I'm so impressed with the nature of the masterclasses we have at NAW 2024, yesterday, today, and we're going to have tomorrow. And there's a pipeline we just need to consistently grow. Trust me, wherever those talents migrate to, there's some impact on this economy directly through remittances. And those who are in here, who are able to earn in forex, who are becoming self-entrepreneurs by just being part of this ecosystem and leveraging things on ground. There are many persons within this ecosystem who should see themselves as a pipeline for feeding the ecosystem. And there must be some collaboration in there. All of us cannot be experts at grooming talent. There will be people within the continent and the nation whose primary purpose will be to generate an almost inexhaustible talent pipeline to feed this industry. The good thing about that is they themselves, the talents that are being generated, they become economic levers to make things happen for the immediate industry and for the larger continent. A knowledge transfer framework that empowers the next generation. And I'm also impressed by the kind of things that are happening beyond the working population, digging deeper into those schools and ensuring that before they leave the four walls or whatever structured education, they're already part of the economy. And there are things that are being built around this to make sure it happens. The second bit of it will be the digital assets. There's just a plethora of assets everywhere. What we are not doing, and what I think we can do better, is a structured aggregation of these digital assets to put them in the widest possible touch point for everybody to have a play. It's almost like being deliberate about building economic reels that everybody can tap into. So you will probably have heard about the concept of land banks, where different people who own land can bring it together, and some people can get to use it and propagate things, and it's for the common good. The digital assets within the country and on the continent can be aggregated in a particular way that makes it a starting point for anybody within the fintech ecosystem to take to the last mile in their own way and to their own audiences. The third bit will be sustainable finance, and I talk somehow about investment flow and the growth and investment flow into Africa over the past 5 years. There seems to be a dip, and we're wondering what's going on. How are organizations entrusted with resources maximizing those resources to create economic wealth? What exactly is going on? The real return on assets in our hand, what are we doing about them? There should be a framework that ensures that the assets that flow in here have a direct correlation to the economic outputs that we're seeing. And one way to test it will be what we're seeing in terms of the GDP per capita in this country. And for every organization, the governance framework that ensures that the financial assets entrusted to them are actually achieving the purpose of inclusive growth. The fourth level will be the public digital infrastructure, and I think that's one of the pillars on which Fintech Nigeria stands. We cannot individually be speaking to the issue of infrastructure. It is so germane to everything we do as an industry that we need a formidable framework to ensure that the infrastructure that will make us thrive actually in place. This morning I was reading something about 5G, and I'm not going to be doing any survey if anybody in the fintech ecosystem is innovating around 5G, but I'm tempted to ask, is anybody innovating anything around 5G in Nigeria? Yeah. But you remember some people paid almost $300 million for those licenses. And you're asking yourself, what do we have to show? And just last month, I've done to another thing, digital Wi-Fi. But there's something we need to make work as a people. And that is why the call is for us to be connected, to collaborate, to deliver what guarantees inclusive growth in Nigeria and on the continent. The last bit of it will be the digital inclusion, getting everybody to be part of this, and that's the linkage. Digital inclusion only happens when the digital infrastructure is available and it's reliable and it's affordable. So we need to do some short-term investments over the long run to ensure that whatever we create can actually achieve economic inclusion. And there are many models behind this. In the next couple of months, I'm sure we're going to be speaking to that. What have we done so far? This is just a bit of our own story. This is what at the group level we've been doing for about 30 years, about 20 years into our payment journey. Around tech talent, we're collaborating with the industry to feed. We're not making it organic. Internally, we got programs where we generate that and we become a very great talent pipeline. We're never afraid of training and releasing them. But much more importantly, one of the things we're doing is anyone who comes up through our ecosystem and is empowered becomes an ambassador to others to let them know it is possible here in this environment. There are people who come for 3 months and 6 months structured internship, and they end up becoming geniuses, and I'm not kidding, because their first exposure to what it really means to be part of an economic objective. They understand that they are not just part of a talent pipeline working to earn, but they are actually delivering value. They can see what exactly they're doing. And in the all around, you're going to see many people branded, or you really wouldn't even know. Some of them are just interns who have taken on our values and are part of the economic footprint. And it's just not about what we do internally. The second bit of it, digital assets, and like I said, that is one thing we're trying to do, to liberalize what we have and make it available. And over the next 6 months, the only thing we're going to be talking about is Connect. And it's just something to catalyze the industry that everybody has a role to play. So we're democratizing our digital assets, and anybody can connect to our APIs to take it to the last mile. Branded, any way they like it, the easiest ways to integrate and make that available. That's our contribution. The last bit, the third bit, sustainable finance. If anybody knows about us and our corporate governance structure, we've been organically financed for 33 years. And despite that, our commitment to CSR is one of the major things we do. So why is it we've been involved sponsoring this? It is more about creating many more of the type of institution we are and mainstreaming. All of these are there at the forefront of advocacy, and you will see this all around there. And on the last note, I think we need to work together to take things forward. That's a summary. If you're not taking anything away, if you are here and you think you're an active part of Nigeria's or Africa's fintech ecosystem, you need to get connected. You need to identify the role you have to play to contribute to inclusive growth on the continent. We must just work together. And let's remember, an empowered Africa is what's going to be the root of our work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, MD Remita, one of our sponsors. Thank you, Abba. I appreciate it. All right, this is a man that I hold in very high regard. Intelligence is no doubt, and aside from that, is wearing glasses. You know, only intelligent people wear glasses. If you don't have your glasses on, please check out your eye doctor so that you can come and join our tribe, the tribe of brilliant and intelligent individuals. Aside from our dear visitor from Kenya, she's part of us. Nevertheless, glasses or no glasses, man. You are all part of us, as a matter of fact. Thank you so very much. And at this point, I'd like to quickly invite the next speaker, who is one of our sponsors, and they are going to be making a brief presentation for the next 7 minutes, and that will be a sponsor's address. And that is who are we? Mr. Jimo Oku. Please can you put your hands together for Mr. Jimo? Clap for him. These are the people that have made this event visible. Our sponsors made it wonderful, and I say a big thank you, Sam. Huawei has, I think, one of the largest exhibition stands, as a case might be. You're welcome, sir. Okay.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Please, let's have a slide up, please.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, afternoon already. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Today, I want to speak on building a compliance and innovative infrastructure. Please, the technical team, can I have my slide up?
Christian, can we have a slide up? In the meantime, I'd like to announce that the job fair is still ongoing. So if you're looking out for a job, kindly go upstairs. I think room 2A or 2B, whichever it is, the ushers will direct you, all right? And then you'll take an advantage of that. A lot of the organizations that are looking out to recruit new employees are actually out there. Just as you've seen, we've talked so much about opportunities. This is fine for you to take that as an advantage. Do not carry last in this regard. If I were you, I'll be up there to consult with whoever it is an interest, and then let me know as soon as we're ready with the slide up, so that our sponsor will have this moment. So we'll have to retime the timer because we've not had a slide up for him to make his presentation. So please, my team, are we ready with the slides up so that we know?
All right, thank
We're going. Okay, thank you very much. Please, can you recalibrate the timer?
All right, once again, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jimo Oku, and I'm a solution architect at Huawei Cloud. Today, I want to talk about the topic you can see here, which is building a compliant and innovative infrastructure to power Web3. For many of us that are here, you should know that we are already...
Please forgive me for interjecting. Right. Because of what you do for us at Nigerian Fintech 2014, we want to increase your time to 10 minutes. Please make sure you put 10 minutes because next year we need sponsorship. Put it 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
As you already know, we are in the era of Web3. Although it's a very slow process. The web started from Web 1.0. We went into 2.0, which all of us actually are still on now. And then the next phase, which actually is the future, is Web 3. What exactly is Web 3? Web 3 is Web 3 is actually web technology that powers decentralization. So when I talk about decentralization, I'm talking about incorporating technologies such as blockchain, cryptography, and all of those kind of technology. And the truth is that more and more companies are moving towards this direction today. And if you ask me what the problem with Web 2 is or was, and the truth is that a lot of our data are being managed by organizations. So you go to a website, you have to accept a cookie, and then they place something on your browser, and then they track you. Now, in the era of Web 3, where we go into decentralization, all of this happen in distributed systems, and there is no central organization who owns your data. And this is where we are moving towards today. So how does Huawei play a role in ensuring that for organizations and fintech organizations that are sitting here, and you're looking at building decentralized apps, how can you do that on Huawei Cloud? Please help me with the next slide. All right. In the last concluded Huawei Congress that happened in China last month, we rolled out a report which we call the Intelligent World 2030. Now, this report forecasted that by the end of 2030, all industries are going to move towards decentralization. And here are some interesting statistics on the screen for you. At the end of 2030, there will be about 1 billion digital asset holders worldwide. At the end of 2030, there will be about $16 trillion market size real assets tokenization. And if you look at the base here, you will see that will create a computing power market size of about $10 billion. Because for you to be able to run Web3, you need a lot of computing resources. Next slide. All right. So how does Huawei position itself to be able to drive the future of Web3? Now, I want to walk you through what we are doing in the area of R&D. Now, we are second behind Alphabet, actually, which is the parent company of Google, in the area of investments in research and development. So over the last 10 years, we've invested more than $157 billion in the last 10 years. That's a lot of money, actually. And that accounts for about 23.4% of our total expenditure. Now, what are the benefits that we have realized with that? As you can see, we have built over 40 plus blockchain standards. We've been able to obtain more than 200 patents, and as well as our solutions today cut across more than 400 industry applications. All right. Now we have what we call the Huawei Cloud Kuverse. Kuverse simply means the universe of cloud. So we leverage on unified architecture of cloud on a global network. So today we have more than 33 regions of cloud presence across 93, spread across 93 data centers for cloud. So almost everywhere you go around the world today, there's a Huawei Cloud data center. So the goal and the ultimate goal for us is to ensure that in wherever location your business might be, whether you are in a little village doing your fintech business, that there is a cloud data center that can help you reduce latency to less than 50 milliseconds. And that is why, even though we came late to the scene, in terms of cloud service provisioning, we have been able to overtake the likes of the top two that are already dominant in the market today for cloud service provisioning. And I will tell you that if you go to the Gartner quadrant today, we are around number 5. That was at last year. And these are updated every year. So Huawei Cloud is doing a lot in the area of trying to reduce the connection time that it will take to access cloud services. And this is very essential when it comes to Web3. Now, if you look at the charts here, these are our comparison with the blue and the yellow. So the blue and the yellow represents the top 2 cloud service providers. What I mean top 2 is because we came late to the market and we are trying to catch up with them as well. So the current top 2, as you can see there, in terms of provisioning for Web3, we have more data centers in very key locations beyond what they're currently doing. And if you look at the table on the right here, you will see that the latency that we provide for connectivity is less than 50 milliseconds. So this is how much we are doing around Web3. Now, we have a slogan which we call everything as a service. Everything as a service simply means that we'll bring you all of infrastructure, technology, and expertise as a service. So we want you to focus on your business while we handle all of those technological aspects for you. Now, on the first layer, you find infrastructure as a service. Now, what we have done in that layer for Web3 and the blockchain technology is that we have built what we call the node engine service. So the node engine service supports Ethereum. So it supports the Ethereum engine, it supports Polygon engine, it supports Tor engine, another kind of engine. So if you're into blockchain, you already know what I'm talking about. Now, other technology as a service will provide you what we call the Kintian Enclave service. So what it simply means is that it provides you a platform for you to build your crypto wallets. Now, we also provide you what we call the IPFS storage, that's interplanetary file share systems. So basically what that does for you is that it allows you to seamlessly access distributed file systems around the world. And then finally, there is something called the ZK lookup, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. Now, when we climb up to expertise as a service, you can begin to see that we have a marketplace as well, where crypto exchangers actually can build their core business and then tap into innovative services as well. Because of time, I'm going to be a little bit faster. Now we built, like I mentioned, last year, we built what we call the node engine service. And the node engine service actually helps for the hosting of Ethereum staking. So if you are a little bit familiar about Ethereum, you will know that Ethereum has graduated from what we call proof of work, right, now to what we call proof of stake. Now, proof of work traditionally was when you try to validate a transaction by mining data, which is compute intensive. Now, proof of stake simply means that as an Ethereum holder, you can stake your Ethereum, and then you get enlisted into the system as a validator. So by staking your Ethereum, you need high compute nodes to be able to participate in that process. Now, there was a test that was done across 4 different regions for Huawei Cloud, and as you can see, we are able to achieve 99% validation efficiency for Ethereum stakers, which is higher than the industry standard. The industry standard today is 95%. Now, we conducted a test with more than 10,000 validators, and we came out as number 1. So if you're into building blockchain, you're into an exchanger for crypto, Huawei Cloud actually is a platform for you to build upon. Now, there's something called ZK Rob. I said I was going to talk about this. One of the biggest challenge today with blockchain, as smart and sweet as the technology is scalability. Now, what ZK rollups helps you achieve is to separate computing and then the transaction nodes differently, so you can scale them independently. And at the moment, Huawei Cloud is the only cloud service provider, if you take a look at this chart here, that can help you lower the cost of doing that on any platform. Now, this is, for sake of not mentioning name, this is one of the major cloud service providers today. And you can see the cost here, and compare that with the cost you would run, you would actually running this on Huawei Cloud for the same process. So Huawei Cloud can help save and lower that cost for you. If you're looking at leveraging on ZK rollups technology for your blockchain activities or mining activities within Huawei Cloud ecosystem. And then finally, we can help you build a compliance site. Permit me to also mention that we are going to be the first cloud service provider to roll out a Nigerian local site, and we are already doing that at the end of this month. So I thought you were going to clap for that. Thank you. So it simply means that for any of your business that requires local residency and compliance, you need to comply with data residency laws and all of that. The cloud local site is going to be available. And if you're looking at doing Web3 and you're looking at going into blockchain or cryptography as an exchanger or whatnot, Huawei Cloud local site will help you stay compliant. And then finally, I want to introduce one of our services, which we call Huawei Cloud Flexor service. Now, there is no point running infrastructure when you're not going to need it. Many of you are doing that today. You have a lot of infrastructure, compute resources running, and at the end of the day, you pay for what you're not using. So with our Flexor service, you provision resources only when you need them. An example is what we did for a company earlier this year, where we helped them automate the rolling out of 3,000 bare metal servers within 24 hours. And at the end of the day, when they were not using it, it was powered down automatically. And then finally, we can help you, build an ecosystem together where we can support your growth and help take your business to the next level. So I would want you, as a call to action, to scan the QR code on your screen if you're interested in exploring the node engine service I talked about, or you're interested in exploring Huawei Cloud Web3 zone. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Juma. We are your best friends here and LW. We will see you next year, certainly. Let them know that I give you 15 more minutes. It's for the records. Thank you so very much. Can you put a hand together for him? Quickly, we will have our next presenter who is going to be speaking for the next the timer is going to let him know. And then that is Mr. Win Eyoung, head of dealers at PalmPay. Please can you put your hands together for him as he comes up. Thank you so very much. The more you clap, the faster we come up the stairs. Please watch your step, please. Insurance cover only me. I don't know if I was sent to you. All right, that's a good spirit. So he's going to be speaking, and then afterwards we'll have an online presentation from Mr. Ugochukwu, and then we'll go to the panel section.
There are 904 million daily transactions in Nigeria and about 234 trillion transactions in the first quarter. Good day. I'm Wayne Eyoung, head of the biller business at PalmPay. Today, I'll be speaking to you about the PalmPay online. We all know PalmPay is a financial institution that was created in 2009 with the 2019 with the Central Bank of Nigeria, which is our operator and regulator. PalmPay, we started just as a mini app, has come today to be an all-in-one payment and on our platform today on with wallets and the online payment, we have an enhanced reconciliation portal such that whatever payment you are doing, you don't have to manually check or verify the confirmation. Our enhanced portal enables you to automatically confirm this payment and then send to automatically. So these are the because we have 5 minutes, these are just the simple issues we want to mention on the PalmPay platform. It's convenient, secure, and reliable for your business. So we are open. If you want to use PalmPay, the platform is open. We've partnered with all the bigger payment gateways across the country.
I need to do. Thank you so very much, Eyoung. And this is quite interesting. Quickly, we'll go into our next presentation. Hello, good school. How are you?
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can hear me as well, right?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
You can hear me as well. So you have 7 minutes. Your time starts counting now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So I'll start with a trivial question, right? So the cross-border payment industry is a $1 trillion industry and is valued at over $190 trillion. So it shows that it's a huge market that is ripe for a lot of innovation, collaboration, and disruption. So good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you're doing good and having a nice time at the Nigerian Fintech Week. My name is Onsago Chiku, and my keynote speech is on challenges and trends of cross-border payments in emerging markets. Um, so I'm really honored to be here to share my thought process and learnings on this topic with everyone here. So going straight down to the agenda, we'll start with what are cross-border payments. So cross-border payments, I would define it as transactions.
Okay. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead, please.
All right. So I would define cross-border payments as financial transactions where the accounts of the payer and beneficiary are in different countries. So this will typically involve currency conversion and regulatory frameworks across different jurisdictions for money to move from the sender down to the beneficiary. And it's not just for individuals, businesses, government, and also financial institutions also play in this space. So the real question is why are cross-border payments important for emerging markets? It's very important because it helps facilitate trade between emerging markets and developed countries. Right? It opens up the door of financial investment, supports remittance, and also helps to promote financial inclusion. So what are the challenges that we face in cross-border payments for emerging markets? The first one is regulatory complexity and fragmentation. So in the emerging markets, we have a lot of fragmented frameworks and very inconsistent, which makes it hard for players to come into the space and offer better services. Another will be currency volatility and liquidity issues. So across board in emerging markets, due to various factors such as economic instability, lack of monetary policies, it's very difficult to plan or manage liquidity. So it poses a real challenge for financial institutions to deploy funds and actual manage that liquidity in due time. And also we have the high transaction fees. Most times they're hidden costs because we have lots of players involved in that money movement. So from the sender down to the beneficiary in emerging markets, different players in that space which have to take their own cuts, which means at the end of the day, the sender gets to pay a whole lot more than the bargain for. Next will be lack of transparency and settlement delays, as most of us we have experienced. When people send money down from various countries that brought down to Africa or the emerging markets like the LATAM, it tends to take some time. It tends to take a lot of time, and we don't have the full coverage on how this happens or what the delay is for this transaction. They also have the fraud and security risks because of the lack of enforcement and security protocols. It's very difficult to adhere to these laws, which will curb crimes such as cyber attacks and also money laundering practices. So I will go next to the trends that shape cross-border payments. The first one is the rise in immigration, e-commerce growth, and global expansion of SMEs. So we've seen in the last few decades that people have moved countries from emerging markets down to developed markets, which means remittance flowing from developed countries down to Africa or other Latin countries have drastically increased. For example, in Nigeria, we've had about 10% increase in year-on-year growth in remittance back to Nigeria. So also we've seen the adoption of currencies and central bank digital currencies, and also across board, people are striving, the regulators are striving to have better compliance and regulatory frameworks. Then another trend I will see shape cross-border payment is we have the evolution of payment processing, a lot of alternative payments in options in the market. Then I will go to the use cases that are transforming cross-border payments. The first is retail remittances, as mentioned earlier, because we have a surge in global migration. People now send money across the board. Also, e-commerce and online places. We've seen giants like Alibaba, Amazon, Amazon and Shopify, they are opening markets or opening operations in new emerging markets such as Brazil and South Africa. So what this means is it's opening the doors for a lot of online retailers to come on board and sell products globally. Then we've also seen salary disbursements, right? We've seen a lot of players coming to this space to have payroll, and this has been triggered by the rise in the gig economy and remote workforce. Then SME trade between large corporations also. We have corporate trade and investment, travel and tourism. Then lastly, we have government payouts, pension payments to retirees or child support. Then in summary, I would say cross-border payments is the lifeblood of global trade, and as I mentioned, it's the trade industry which is ripe for disruption and innovation. Currently, the B2B aspect of this cross-border payments makes up the largest share, which is 7%, and it's dominated by banks and top financial institutions. So it's hard for newcomers to actually come to this space and do valuable work. So my hypothesis on this is around 3 assumptions. The first one is with customer demand changing, customers will demand faster, cheaper, innovative, transparent, real-time customer processing, which would surely fuel innovation. Because as we see, both individuals and businesses want fast payment options, fast settlement. Then next assumption would be new players will challenge incumbents to collaborate and develop faster, more innovative and transparent cross-border solution. Then lastly, development and adoption of a borderless and unified compliance framework, right, would fuel people to come into this space, and we see a future where most payment infrastructure would have that uniformity, where we don't have to always lay on top different payment rails for payment to be successful. So I hope I'll be able to inspire people to have interest in this cross-border payment. It's a long way to go, and we would need new ideas to come into this space, find the inspiration and do great things. And lastly, you can scan the QR code on this page, right, to reach out to me with questions, feedback, comments, and any form of collaboration. I'm open to helping people and collaborating with people if they have questions. And thank you everyone for listening. I do hope you enjoy the rest of the day at Nigerian Fintech Week. Bye guys. Thank you.
The next section. And we're sorry about that. I think that has to be a technical issue. Gladly was some summarizing. And Hans is going to send that across to us to basically have that shared. Ladies and gentlemen, we're quickly going into the next part of the agenda, and that's the panel session. And I'm glad that the panel session is focused on safeguarding the funding pipeline for fintechs in Africa. To moderate this session is not the person than the founder and MD of Talking Drum. Please can you put your hands together for him as a thumbs up. And then to join him on this panel, we have someone joining us online, and that is the CEO of Africa Fintech Network, Dr. Patrick Mkonte. He's joining us all around from the cloud, and please, my technical guys, ensure that his communication seamless so that we don't have any freezing moments. We also have in-house here to join Mr. Benny Du, Mr. Noble Obasi, team lead for private equity capital markets and merger and acquisition for Australian land. Please can you put your hands for him? We're looking at money. Money is very important. We have Tiwa Lola also a partner of Alex Partners. Please put your hands for her. Alex as a matter of fact have been at the forefront in trying to drive this course that helps us. This is one of the law firms I think I identify so much on. And then Chika also MD Pampe. We had Pampe speak earlier on. Please put your hands together for her. I'm looking forward to this interaction. And then, oh, say him? Wonderful. You people should decide which of the gender you're taking up. Please, careful, sorry, please, careful. Okay, Chika. Okay, it's actually a unisex name. Thank you so very much. MD Pampe. Your guy actually did a fantastic presentation earlier on. And then we have Taiwo Thompson, Principal of EcoVC. She is a she. Please put your hands together for her. All right, this kind of one actually helps you to just go straight up. Now, at this point in time, I like my timer sets for the next 15 minutes, and then I'm trusting Mr. Amy to work with what we have, and we're going to be working together while the panelists also are working with the timer. Can we have all the microphones, please, also that we know our panelists? Okay, the women know how to do this. Okay, handshake. Demi, you better not take handshake. Okay, all right, let's just have that go with the moment. All right, please, let's be sure the microphones are on. Are your mics on, please? One mic, you can speak as the case may be. Please, can we have Benny some?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benny, and I am very happy and privileged to host this panel, but excellence panel, I should say, exploring the topic of safeguarding the funding pipeline for fintech in Africa. And what I'm really excited about in this panel is we have a wide range of speakers with a range of experiences and perspectives on the topic. We have founders, CEOs, investors, lawyers, people from different ends of the spectrum. So the way we're going to run this conversation is we are going to explore it from each speaker's perspective. So the topic we're looking at is safeguarding the pipeline of funding for African fintech companies. And we'll start with setting the context. When I'm on panels, I always try to make sure that they are all on the same page, and that we all are talking about the same thing. So one of the things I want to start with, I want to pose a question to the panel. Whoever answers can go for it. We'll start from there. And what I really want us to do is I want us to set the context for everyone listening in the audience to get an understanding of the current lay of the land with fintech funding in Africa. So who wants to go first?
Oh, I don't mind. I mean, I think that even the previous speakers, the keynote addresses that were given and the sponsor addresses kind of touched on what we see happening in the fintech ecosystem in Africa in general, and particularly in Nigeria as well. And I think what we can all agree on is that there's been a decline in funding from the boom we saw in 2022, 2021, right? And that's attributable to a number of things. I mean, we can talk about inflation, we can talk about high interest rates, but then there's also the key fact that investors are generally more cautious in their approach to financing startups in general, and of course that would have an implication on fintechs as well, right? And by being cautious, it means that they're more particular about sustainability rather than just quick growth that would end up not being sustainable, right? But having said that, some of the data that we do find show that in this year, and it's trending up until say July or into August, we've seen significant funds actually raised. That also shows that even though we've been seeing a decline, there's supposedly some changes that we're seeing as well. That starts to show that this year might actually surpass the numbers that we found in 2020, right? So it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all that, it shows that there is some degree of growth. And while the funding numbers are not as high, we're seeing that the deal numbers are not necessarily super low. We're also seeing other forms of financing beyond equity. We're seeing a lot more in the debt space as well compared to what we used to see. I'll just stop there so that other speakers can also keep it.
If anyone else wants to add to it,
just to
let's try to keep our answers short and snappy. We'll do questions to get through so that we can have an extra conversation as possible.
just to add to what Sohan said.
Sorry, please carry on, sir.
So essentially, right, we have seen a whole lot of funding strategies which the fintechs have explored in getting funds into the country. Again, it really depends on the stage that the fintech company is at, right? So at the point of starting, you see a sort of accelerator incubator in sort of induce funding. Then you see angel investors who are essentially investors with high net of investors with some amount of funding that they want to inflow into the fintech. Again, you see a situation where you see
a revenue-based financing. So essentially, revenue-based financing is when an investor looks at your startup company to say, you know what, I can give you money to provide a solution which you really want to provide. However, I'm going to take some revenue off your company once they start making good funding. Right? Again, I'm not taking equity, just revenue. Again, you see a lot of M&As, these are drivers, these are funding drivers within the fintech space. So for example, I think a few years back we saw the Paystack, the Stripe, which was one of the biggest M&A deal in the fintech space in Nigeria. Again, we see a lot of private equity funding coming into the fintech space. We see Helios, but I think he does invest this Helios, but it's like the private equity firm that's got funding. I think is based like either based on interest rate, I think interest rate, right? Yeah, so essentially you see these funding strategies, which is sort of deriving from what I said about setting funding for fintech development in Africa.
Thank you. We'll move on quickly to the next question. And joining us virtually is Dr. Patrick Conte, the CEO of Africa Fintech Network. I'm going to direct this question at him, but also as Chika, if you don't mind. And the question is about economic instability and the impact of that on funding. So we all know about things like inflation, currency fluctuations, and those sort of things. I want to get your thoughts. Just out of courtesy, I'm going to start with Chika because you're next to me, and then we'll go to Dr. Patrick online. But I just want to get your thoughts on how the issue of inflation and currency fluctuation, how these things have affected funding, and then we'll take a conversation from there.
Okay, thank you very much. So, if you look at the African environment, this is 2023 up to today, you can see that most of the currencies, both Nigerian naira, Kenyan shillings, Ghanaian cedis, even Egyptian pounds, and the rest of them have been implemented against USD. And most of the investment coming to Africa, most of the African fintechs investment expectation, or maybe most of the foreign investment coming to Africa are all in dollars. So most of the investors are very, very wary of constant devaluation of currency because they are afraid that the value of the investment might be, eroded over a period of time. Then another part of it is when there is inflation, the what central bank does is to control inflation by increasing the lending rates. So what this does to fintech is that most of the fintech who are based on debt funding, this will increase their overhead costs. Definitely will affect the profitability of their businesses. So investors will put this money into a company that is not profitable. So this is actually something.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. And over to you, Dr. Patrick, as well. What have you had any thoughts on this, and also from the work you're doing with the Africa Fintech Network? Any thoughts on the general states? I think Chika has mentioned about a lot of funding coming from overseas. Do you have anything to add on that topic?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Definitely very.
We can't hear. Patrick, please.
Am I coming audibly? Hello.
Can you speak again, please, so we see if we can hear you?
Yeah. Hello. Am I coming audibly?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Couple of thoughts. Let's start to unpack the funding landscape in Africa. Yes, as already alluded, the last 3 years we see a downward trend on a year-on-year basis. But the question is, why so? Is it that investments in tech generally and fintech most in Africa becoming unattractive? And where did those funds come from initially? Research and a lot of practical evidence point to the fact that you look at the 8 fintech unicorn, most startups in the space, their capital structure is largely funded overseas, or at least money is largely not originated within the continent. So really for us at the network, those are the conversations we're interested in. You know, why would a country like Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation and perhaps the strongest economy in the continent, with billionaires in naira and dollars, why would they not invest in the thriving sector? Nigeria, by all indications, have shown resilience, strength, talent. And average about 4 out of 8 unicorns associated or connected with Nigeria. But the question is, if you unpack the capital structure of those fintech unicorns and other key players in the sector, what is pure Nigerian capital, money in those tech? I bet you it's little. So for us, the conversation is about African capital in African tech. If there is African money in African tech, the issue about fluctuations, not that it will not happen, but to be in check. So that is where we drive the conversation. Why are Africans, be them investors, VCs, angel investors, these XYZ investors, why are they not interested? Why are they not African oriented in approach in terms of their source of capital, in terms of investors in those VCs and their own lending, to the tech sector in Africa? So that's very important. Then the issue, naturally, the issue about there is always, both research and evidence is about there is a direct link in between what is happening in tech, digital tech also, and its positive contribution to economic growth. I think one of the recent studies by Google showed that in the next 7 years, that is 2030, for each dollar you invest in digital tech in Africa to 100% return, it will fetch you $2. So why are investors, why are local Africans, why are Africans' richest men not interested in investing? You look at, for me not to steal the show, take the top 5, 10 richest men in the world, unpack their investments, significant purchases in tech, take Africa's billionaires, top 5, unpack their investments, it's the opposite. So why this disconnect? And for us at the network, we are saying there is need to sound the trumpet louder. There is need for African investors, Africans' riches, African resources to be channeled into African tech. Let me stop here for now.
Thank you so much. I have one more question to the panel, and then we'll start. For time, we'll open the floor to questions, and then we'll direct those questions to the panelists so that we can incorporate the audience into the conversation as much as possible. My next question is for Taiwo. As the VC on the panel, you guys have dominated the whole conversation around funding for such a long time. So the question is really about attracting and maintaining VC funding in this climate. So looking at what kind of factors and metrics you look at what kind of considerations you consider when you're looking at funding the fintech at this time, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so so hi everyone, good afternoon. I work with EcoBC. We are sector agnostic, so I'm not essentially only a fintech investor. So I might be speaking generally, but most of what I'm talking about will also be very applicable to fintechs. So in terms of investments, when you're assessing any investments, first of all, you want to see what sort of market exists. So what's the addressable market? What's the obtainable market? What's the harm sums? There are all sorts of things that we call it. Or again, you want to know, is there a market for your products? I don't know, it still comes to a willing buyer and you as a seller. That's really what it is to space. So we're looking at what's the market, what's the opportunity. If I'm also going to be investing in a fintech company or any company, I also want to know how scalable are you? Are you just going to be like a local champion within Nigeria, or are you able to replicate your products into other African markets? Because by the time you start, drilling down to what exactly the revenue opportunity is, it's really a numbers game. So that's another part. And then we're also looking at what is so innovative about you as what's so innovative about you as a company, right? What differentiates you from the other person? And then before, in the early days, you look at an early stage okay, like proceed, just come now. You're thinking, okay, how many users do you have? What's your growth rate? What's your burn? What sort of customers do you have? What partnerships have you lost? Those are sort of metrics you begin to look at. But I think at the core of it all, what is important to every VC, if you speak to anyone, no matter early stage, late stage, for the PES, it still comes down to the founding team and the founders itself, because again, it's really a game of conviction. I want to speak to a founder who is telling me things that are deep secrets within its own industry that I don't know about. If I'm sitting down with you and you're telling me things I already know, I'm not particularly doing that. I'm just thinking, yeah, yes, it's not that fintech company, you're all layering doing the same thing. But I would say those are the main things that I would look at when assessing investment their company as a great fintech company.
Excellent, thank you. At this point, does anyone have anything on that topic? But at this point, I want to open the floor to questions. If anyone has any questions they want to ask, I can see 2 hands up already. So we'll take the questions and then I'll direct the questions at specific panel members. So if you could pass my suggestion over there, over there.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Yeah, I'm a medical student. So my question goes those, like we are talking about the fintech in Africa, in Africa states, like fintech in Africa, and I'm going into funding of techs. So as a startup, there are some startups they like work like ends to build up their own business and saving. You're talking about inflation rates, like we are saving. And sounds like in this African world space, can't we like since we're all working together, can't we like form a financial currency that we all will be using to battle against the inflation rates? Because and then for tech funding, apart from being a startup, tech funding in schools also how would I say this? Like 3 years ago or 4 years, I guess, in the University of Lagos in school fees of.
Sorry to rush you. Can you just get to the question, please? So, like, it's too much time.
Because with tech funding, the schools they increase their amount of school fees like 100, like 200. I mean, public schools that's just like free, and some people, some people like us were earning dollars, and some don't. It affects. So my question is, can't we regulate a type of financial currency down Africa?
Like, your question is the unified currency.
Yeah, let's like help battle against inflation against the US.
Okay,
that's like the main problem.
Okay. I think I get the question. But I'll hold that question, and there's another gentleman over there, and there's a lady in the corner. We'll take those 3 questions for now, and we'll come back to the panel.
Yeah, good afternoon, panel. I'm from I'm a local graduate here. So my question is after I'm multifaceted, let me know when because of the time. Yeah, so yes, we know VC in Africa is quite funny, right? We look at the number of transactions taken. I think the fintech industry is really saturated, right? We have more fintechs. But what we saw is that the VCs, the investors are not Nigerian based. We only have few, I think, Healthcare by Dr. Ola Brown, we have Impressive by my Hogan Famodman. There are just few more. So my question to the VC personnel here, what are we doing to build the Nigerian VC market? How can we get Nigerian based VCs, and how can we encourage LPs, right? Limited partners. We have a lot of HNIs that can LPs, right? And so fellow lenders here. So GRC governance risk management and compliance in fintech, we will still go back, right? Because GRC, the whole concept was to ensure financial due diligence. So how can we ensure 10 sheets due diligence from the perspective of GRC? Because we have to go there. And also to the MD of PalmPay, the issue of credits, right? Credits for not startups, SMEs, right? What is PalmPay doing towards that? Because most of the credit we're seeing is just for normal individuals. I want to order 2K. All that, right? So what would you do towards that? Thank you.
Thank you. I think on that final question, just for the sake of today, that's a very different conversation to this conversation we're having now. So we'll park that one for another time. Maybe that could be. So we'll take the final question, unless you want to answer that question. But for the sake of time, I think we should let's just take the question for the lady over there, and then I'll start work our way down. the panel. Dr. Lam.
Yes, thank you. My name is Mary Ann. In my experience, speaking to this is about debt funding. I mean, even if you inquire about our market or you want to hear something different, when it comes to actual investing, it boils down to the numbers. You want to look at our management accounts, you know, those kind of numbers. What are the options for a company that is still, you know, in that startup phase? They are still figuring out their market or their model, or still maybe even setting into their model. What are the options for startups without those numbers to access debt funding? You mentioned revenue sharing and the likes, but for companies that their P&L isn't ideal yet, what are the options? Because commercial banks usually typically look for assets, and a lot of startups are asset light.
Okay, I see. So the first question, I think, if you don't mind taking the question from Jeffson over there. That question from the lady, I think, no more. That's probably for you. Alternative funding models, and I think both answers the question about the unified African currency. BC. Well, Sam, I think they dropped you in for that one. Excuse me. So, do you want to go first?
Okay, so firstly, okay, is the mobile money operators. So on our license, we cannot give out loan, so we don't give loan. So what we have is a super app. So we have other fintech onboarded on our platform that are carrying out different businesses. Actually, company does not give loans. So please, you have to know this. Then secondly, you mentioned something that the African fintech space is saturated. I disagree with you totally. I think what happened is that there was something I was telling someone when we had a program somewhere outside the country. I said, I don't know why all the fintechs are in Lagos. So for people in Lagos. Nigeria has let me take Nigeria for instance. Nigeria has a population of about over 200 million people. Lagos is less than 6 million people. That is less than 10%. People left 80% or left 90% are struggling with are struggling with 10%. It's crazy. So there is a lot of opportunity. There are a lot of opportunities. And you know, for fintech, the purpose of fintech, the objective of fintech is to reach out to the companies. So go to many rural areas in Nigeria, go to so many sub cities outside Lagos, Abuja, you will notice that the activities of fintech in those localities are very, very minimal. Or maybe not even at all. So I tell you that there is a lot of opportunities for fintechs in Nigeria and other African countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And then the next question about, I just want to answer the question. My question to you is going to be around alternative funding models. So I was spoken about VCs and how VCs look at this. But for the sake of the person who asked the question and other people in the audience, can you speak to other sources of funding, other ways fintechs and other startups can fund their ventures?
Thank you very much. So again, I think the lady she has kind of identified one of the problems with fintech is also fintech which is
for you, the list people are involved in my situation, but
hello. So one of the problems which we identified is the P&L not doing so. So essentially, you see a situation where fintechs they're trying to scale, they're trying to raise funds. However, the balance sheets are not doing very well. I don't think there's any bank that won't give you loan based on a poor balance sheet. And again, even if you want to perhaps go to capital market to raise funds, maybe to raise a seed, or maybe to
that's not trying to play. Oh, sorry. Can I have some help with the mics? The mics are fluctuating a little bit.
Okay, I think it's back. Okay. So even if you go to the capital market to raise funds via CP or note issuance, I mean, your assets is one of the your assets and those is going to be some of the key considerations that these guys will look at before they give you the loan. So essentially, what we're going to look at is to try as much as possible to perhaps issue
shares, right? Look for investors, look for people who can buy into the idea of the company by giving you shares. I mean, after that, you can perhaps decide to maybe take the company, the Fintech company public, right? Expose it to a wide range of shareholders. I mean, that's as a matter of fact, that's one of the biggest alternative source of financing for Fintech. Right? I mean, you see, US is currently listed at the what's called the New York Stock Exchange, and you see in Nigeria, I think you see Chance, Hilton, and so essentially, you try as much as possible to raise equity, right? If you cannot go public, perhaps you could do private placement to a couple of high net worth investors who can, buy into the idea of your company by giving you money in exchange for equity, right? Because it's so difficult for fintech to raise debts to give money without a very solid balance sheet.
That's right. I would want to take a question on, I think on the past, a question on the current situation about trade and inflation.
Okay, so I think in summary, you are basically talking about currency devaluation, right? I guess that's what you're talking about. Or what was the question again?
Yes, so around balancing, how do we basically hedge against the risk of currency devaluation? I think we spoke about that in the initial question.
So I was recently with a couple of African investors, and we I think we just agreed that we always have a currency devaluation problem, especially if you are investing dollars in a company whose revenue is in naira or CFA or something else, right? So a conversation that we're also having is having like multi-currency funds, such that if your revenue is largely in naira, then we also should be giving you naira to hedge against that. That's really the solution. As long as you're giving a company dollars and the revenue is in naira, and they're not also having like several how do you put it? You don't have other revenue streams to give them foreign currency. You're always going to have that problem. So again, on the more African scale, it's really now a conversation with, okay, we investors, we want to sit down with central banks of different African countries. How do we solve for this? Well, until that happens, and there's really not much to do. And every year, there's always a further devaluation. So even as we continue to invest, our investors are also wondering, oh, okay, where's the liquidity coming from? Where the X is coming from? A lot of this thing, where's the DPI? Like, there's just so much. It's not a very straightforward solution, but I would say the best solution is if you're a naira company, then I should be giving you naira investments. That's the only way that even I, from an investor, can hedge against that risk. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Just moving the conversation on, there's a very interesting part of the funding conversation that I don't think gets explored enough, and that's like the legal and regulatory part of the conversation. Everyone thinks it's just about building a product and collecting money. So I want to put the question towards you as the legal person on the platform. I jump for a second now. So what kind of legal structures and agreements? It's the two-part question. I'll ask the first one, so I'll come back with the second one. The first one is, what kind of legal structures and agreements do fintech have in place where they approach an investor and seeking forms of funding? And then I have a follow-up question about regulatory requirements and stuff like that. But let's start with the legal frameworks and requirements. I'll go from there.
Okay. Thanks, Benny. And yes, legal is a big piece of it. And when I was speaking earlier, she did talk about the things they look at, the things they consider, the founders ultimately, how, and things like that. But beyond all of that, after they've looked at all of that, one of the very significant things they're going to do is to diligence the company, right? So do legal diligence as well on the company. And there's certain things that an investor doesn't want to have to deal with. Making an investment by itself is already risky, right? And so there's certain risks that or certain issues that can be controlled that you don't have to take a bet on, right? And those are the sort of things they want to be able to kind of check off, right? So how we mentioned founders, right? So again, one of the fundamental things would be, do you have a founders agreement in place? And what does that say? How does that work? How is that structured? Where does the equity currently sit, right? In fact, before you get there, down to the basics of how the entity has been constituted, right? Has it been properly constituted? What do the constitutional documents look like, right? What does your article say regarding investments? Are there any restrictions there that need to be fixed? Then we'll talk about your founders agreements. We're looking at your IP, which is a big piece of tech, right? Are there IP agreements? Who owns the IP? Does this sit in the entity that has been invested in, or does this sit with the founders? And how do you get it into the entity that the investor is going to invest in, right? Are they registered? Big point, licensing. Do you have the right license for the business that you're doing? And that is a very big piece, of that, right? Third-party type agreement. So, more often than not, you find fintech players also having partnerships with some other entities. What do those look like? How integral are those to the products that fintech is offering, right? And how are those agreements structured? What will be the implication of that investment on those existing sort of arrangements? Policies around the AML, CFT issues, right? Cybersecurity, issues, data protection. That is a big piece, right, as well, because there's a lot more emphasis on that, right? And how is the fintech addressing those things? What are policies that are in place? What are practices that are in place? And of course, I mentioned earlier that unlike a few years ago, investors are a lot more cautious. They're looking at profitability and sustainability. And when you're considering that, you need to look at governance, right? So that the governance structure in a fintech, and that cannot be overemphasized. It's always a big piece of it.
So time, I'm going to cut you short there. I just asked for a very short and snappy answer about regulation, because I think with sort of regulation as well, sometimes people forget that if you're not regulated in a, I don't know the technical term, but if you're not compliant from a regulatory perspective, that can also impact your ability to attract funding and attack funding sustainably. So can you speak to that quickly, and then have one final question to ask?
I mean, absolutely. Like I said, which is why I mentioned licensing. It's a regulatory requirement, right? So a fintech startup has to recognize what regulations apply to what they're offering and ensure that they are up to date with those. Now, of course, it's not every non-compliance issues that would prevent you from getting investment, right? Some of them are easily fixable, but there's certain big things. Do you have the license to provide to be a mobile money operator, for instance? If you don't have that, then you're not even started at all, right? So yeah, regulation is certainly a very big piece, and I do recognize that there are certain types of product offerings where the regulations around there is gray. There's a gray area. So digital assets, that sort of space is still, it's still a moving, sort of thing. And as lawyers, we tend to get quite significant inquiries around that, especially from foreign investors, because they try to understand how that space works and how they can come and play in that space. So again, when there's uncertainty in regulation, it makes it much harder for the investors and the startups. But of course, there's still ways to navigate around. So yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So as we wrap up, I just want to get thoughts from everyone on the panel about building investor confidence. So I think it all is this conversation we're having about a pipeline. Investors love to put money on the table, and as builders, as ecosystem players, I think it's a very important conversation to have about what can be done, what can fintechs do to build long-term investor confidence. So I'll start with you, Chika, if you don't mind. I will work our way down the panel to finish off.
Okay, there's a lot to do, but the time is very short. So firstly, you can classify your investment income stream. For instance, for us, we're not only in Nigeria, we have a business in Ghana, we have a business in Tanzania, Kenya, and some other African countries. So if things are bad in Nigeria, maybe the money we are making in other African countries also make us look good. So investors can come in. Another one is continuously engaging with the policymakers and regulators. Let me give you one example. This year, CSC made a policy that all the agents and merchants must have CSC, must have a CSC registration at least. Registration. So they gave 2 months notice. The 2 months expired. If some of funding group ourselves together and engage CSC, they would have worked down on our agents. You know what that means for some businesses that may not pay us and rent? The business will die automatically. And several other things that I will not go ahead to say because of time. Another one is, frivolous operational expenses. As a fintech, as a startup, there are some operational costs you don't need to get involved in. You have to put more money on the reserve. And also, fintech are also successful
we also need to project them, what they have done, the kind of activity they are doing, what made them profitable. All these things will also increase the investors' confidence. Thank you.
Thank you. No, if you don't mind, from your perspective, some thoughts on that question.
Okay. So essentially, right, to boost investors' confidence, I think it makes more sense for investors to ask critical questions, critical questions at the right places at the right time. So you come into, say, a financial inclusion sort of, you want to offer a financial inclusion sort of solution, right? Are you speaking to your regulators? You know what the regulators are talking about concerning the product that you want to ship into the market, right? Are you speaking with your lawyers to understand all the acts, all the regulations, all the laws that's guiding that particular place, right? Are you now making your own due diligence, right? Are you conducting the sort of survey, the sort of diligence in the country of investment to really understand how your product is going to go about, right? Again, it makes more sense for all these things to be tied down first before you really look at investment. The other part of it is at the start of just seeking for funding. At what stage are you seeking for that funding? Are you, for example, you're just starting up and perhaps you're trying to look for a you need guidance, right? If you're just starting up, I think you should perhaps look for funds from family, angel investors, accelerator, incubator sort of program, right? So, for example, recently there is this accelerator regulatory incubators program by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and one of the reasons why they did it was they found out that Nigeria is a very good place for virtual asset, right? And to promote virtual asset, they have to develop that sort of incubatory program, right? So for them to understand the environment and the solutions they want to explore, or they want to push into the market, right? So all these things boils down asking critical questions about what you want to do, about how you go about it, and how the sort of funding that you're seeking for. Thank you. Thank you.
I think for me, I'll say three things: transparency in your systems, your processes with your investors, communication with them as well, very important. If you have challenges, that line of communication needs to be there, so you're all on the same page. And then I would say diversification, like Chika said, right? And you're seeing a lot of that happening, which is why we're seeing quite a bit of M&A within that space. You're seeing fintechs in Nigeria acquiring some other entities, in a bid to expand. And investors are happy to fund those sort of expansions as well, because it helps you to diversify your risk. I think finally, I would say that it's very important to have the right set of advisors. Those advisors could be legal, they could be financial, they could be business, right? But you need to not be an island. It could be your investors, but it could be other people who have done something similar, doing something similar as well.
Okay. I would say to continue to attract investments, just focus on having strong unit economics. Ensure there's minimal churn. Ensure that you're continuously refining your business model. I would also say try to also optimize for positive cash flows and also extending your runway. So whatever is not important, you might as well just cut it off. And I think the last thing is ultimately your business is you're selling something, right? Continue to ensure that you're refining your business model continuously such that you are becoming a vitamin in your users' lives as opposed to them only thinking about you only when they have a headache. So we always say this thing inside joke, like, are you a painkiller or are you a vitamin? So if you're a vitamin, now take care every day. So how do you continue to stay relevant such that your customers stick and will continue to pay for whatever services you're offering, no matter how you charge? I think all the things all together. I think the last you said was communication as well. If I don't hear from a founder, I'll say in 2-3 months, I'm not saying my monthly reports or quarterly reports, I already know there's a problem. So continue to stay in touch. Sometimes we might just have something our left hand just basically through your lifeline. If you don't say anything, then there's really not much that we can do. Thank you.
We'll go to Dr. Patrick, who's joined us virtually. Any thoughts on the question of building investor confidence?
Yeah, thank you. So much to say in a span of time that we're wrapping up. Let me scale this at the continental level. We at the network, we work across 40 countries in Africa. The opportunities that digital finance, broadly fintech in particular, has presented for Africa enormous. As we speak, cash is still king in Africa. At least 65 to 70% of transactions are done manually by cash. So that's the opportunity for innovative technologies to leverage on. And for that to happen, it has to happen at the continental level, and then it can cascade to country level. So what are we saying? The issue of investor confidence is tied on so many variables. Number one, investors internationally looking at Africa, they're looking at 54 markets. Fragmentation is one major problem. So 54 markets, 54 different currencies, 54 different problems, 54 different regulations. So that's a nightmare. So at the network, one of the things we are working on is how do we facilitate that, almost we call it alignment, not harmonization. My words here, alignment. How do you create an alignment in policy and regulations across minimum as which sub-regional level? Take West Africa. Look at West Africa. There are two blocks. There is a francophone block with 8 plus 9 countries to one currency. There is the anglophone block made with 16 in ECOWAS with 16 different currencies. The question is how you create alignment. So what is happening in francophone ecosystem? That's an alignment with what is happening in anglophone vis-a-vis policy regulations. That's the nightmare for investors sitting in North Africa. So at continental level, number one, there is a need for policy and regulatory alignment, stage 1 and stage 2, harmonization of policy and regulations across Africa. Because fintechs will not scale. They will not scale to growth on a sustainable basis if they're not confined to Nigeria, confined to Ghana, for instance. The markets are small, at least for starters. They need to scale across sub-region, scale as continental, and scale globally. And for that to happen, the issues about regulation, policies are profound. Speaking about capital, I think I've alluded to it. Yes, it's good to have capital from overseas. It's good VCs, angel investors, with capital from overseas. It's good for Africa. It's good for all. This is the globalized world. Are we saying is that in the long-term best interest of Africa? Probably no, probably yes. But what we are advocating for is that there has to be that awareness to raise it. That campaign, that education of investors, of me and you, Africans, to invest in African tech. Via crowdfunding platforms. Everybody shipping their little naira, their little cities, and support the tech locally. That way the funding is sustained. The dividends on those funding are retained within the continent. For we, that's to think what's the best long-term interest. Lastly, I would like to speak on the issue of the role, the role of government.
Sorry, Mr. Patrick, I need to hurry up with the answer so that we can wrap up quickly.
I think people underscore the importance of government, the public sector in all of this. Governments, the politicians, the public sector, the central banks, they have a profound role to play in terms of creating that investor confidence. Policy predictability and certainty is key. Investors want predictability in policies. They want consistency in policies. And that is lacking large across both African countries. Political instability, bad policies.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I hate to cross you, but we have some time, so I need to wrap up the conversation. But thank you so much for that contribution. And thank you to everyone on the panel for your contribution. Now, please to the panelists, and everyone who close.
And thank you very much, baby, because you did an excellent job. Please put your hands together one more time for them. Can you all be outstanding for us to have a group picture? Please let me invite the presidents in the house to please join them for the group pictures as they come. Where do we have my cameramen to quickly do this? Lunch is to be served now, and lunch closes at 2:35 or 2:40. Quickly, I want to announce that the raffle draw is going to be taking place at the end of the day. Meanwhile, we have a treasure hunt by fair money that is kicking off at 2:10. At 2:10, there are two individuals you will have to meet to have an idea of what the terms are going to be. Can I have those two gentlemen? Those two gentlemen there, can you climb up? Let them see you climb up. Okay. These two gentlemen will give you your clues. If the clues are finished with them, you can visit the fair money stand where you can get more clues. And that treasure hunt opens at 2:10. I'm going to make that announcement. Immediately after that, we will have a presentation. And I have Mr. Okenefego doing the first from SMECO, and then we will have Yinka for Falola, Divisional CEO, IPNX Business. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. You've done excellently well. Then we have from Unified Payments, James Onoagada, Group Head Payments Gateway, while we also have Atinuke Olalafe, MDSDME, pardon me, MDSDM Communications Limited. They are obviously coming in as a matter of fact after the launch. Launch we close at 2:35 or 2:40, ladies and gentlemen. Please let us all congregate back here as we go ahead with what we need to do. Please, one more time, be mindful of your personal items. Be mindful of your personal items, your phone, your laptops, and all of that. Thank you very much. Yep. By launch is please follow the ushers. Mr. Chika, before you leave, just a moment. Cyprian. All right, lunch is served. Ladies and gentlemen, please be mindful of your handbag, mindful of your phones, mindful of your shoes. Please let us all be back here by 2:35. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the treasure hunt will go on at 2:10. I will make that announcement. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please, I'd like my panelists to please attend to my assistant. He's going to approach you for your complimentary cards. Let's have that. By 2:10, we will announce the clues, the treasure hunt clues, and then we will definitely now go forward for the next session, and the raffle draw is going to hold at the end of the day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please enjoy lunch. Make sure you take your meal quickly and come back, because we'll close the launch gate by 2:35, while the treasure hunt kicks off at 2:10.